All right, folks, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Life and Whatever Else. I am your host, Eric, and I'm in the studio alone today. We're doing a quick show tonight, just because we're doing basically a World Cup like wrap up right now. Um, Excuse me, I just like burped in my mouth. But yeah, I just got done watching Croatia and England play. It was a really fun game to watch. A lot of chances, a lot of drama. Croatia ended up pulling it out in extra time. They've played extra time in their three knockout stage games, which is pretty crazy. So they have a lot of extra minutes on their legs for the finals, but they pulled it out in the end. And for England, I guess football is not coming home this year. A lot of England fans have been talking about, football coming home. Unfortunately, it will not be coming home this year. They're going to have to settle for possibly winning third place. At worst, they'll be fourth place. So, which I don't even know if that really matters to people, but who knows? Um, Croatia's opponent in the final is going to be France. France defeated Belgium yesterday. I'm taping this on Wednesday, so that was Tuesday. So, France defeated Belgium 1-0. An MTT goal in the second half proved to be the difference in that game. Tight game. Uh, France just really good. They're very young, but they're really good. And I picked them to win the tournament, so it's no shock that they're in the final. Hopefully, my prediction can come true, so then I can brag in everybody's faces. But the World Cup has been really fun this go around. Um, I don't want it to end. I really don't want the World Cup to end. Unfortunately, it comes to end like everything else. Then we go back to our normal, um, you know, leagues around the world that we like to watch: Premier League, Bundesliga. If you like MLS, Liga MX, whatever it is, that's what you guys are gonna go back and watch. So World Cup's coming to an end, but it's been a great World Cup. A lot of great matchups, great games, exciting games, extra time, penalties. Even though penalties aren't the best, a lot of people have come up with. A lot of people have said that penalties aren't their favorite thing to decide a World Cup match. I tend to agree with that. I think penalties are not the best way to do it. I would love to see a situation where maybe FIFA for the World Cup expands rosters, because you're dealing with countries. I mean, it's not like you're dealing with a club or whatever. You're dealing with countries here, so they have a pretty decent talent pool to select from. Give them a couple extra spots. My suggestion is allowing, as opposed to penalties, we allow every team to have 25 players on their roster. I think they take a provisional 23 when they originally announced the roster, and they end up taking 18 with them. But give them 20. Let them take 25. Expand the rosters. Let them take 25 players, and then what you do is, in regular time, you have three substitutions. So you have your normal three substitutions that you would always have in a game. Once those three substitutions are used once you get to extra time, you'll play until there is a goal. I remember they've gotten rid of the golden goal. A lot of people didn't really like the golden goal. I like it, sudden death. I think it's great. The only thing is you can't have it with penalties at the end, because then a team is just going to play defense. When a lesser team might play defense as much as they can to avoid the goal going in, the goal being scored. But what I would do is I would allow there to be re-entries into the game. So the three substitutions that you have during the game, if you take them out, what you could then do is the players that you've taken out during the game can come back in extra time. The other thing that you could do is you can have them play, and as everybody plays, there's a certain amount of minutes. I mean, right now you play 120 minutes if you were to play the 30 extra minutes. So maybe you set it where a player can't play more than the equivalent of a half, an extra 15 minutes. So maybe a player can't play more than, say, what would it be, 90 what would it be, 135, I believe, if you added 45 minutes to it. So you wouldn't be allowed to play more than 135 minutes, in a game. And then you could re-enter players, and then what you do is, as players reach their time limit, you start taking players off one by one. So, for example, you would go. The only way you would ever go to penalties is if you don't have enough players on the field. The hope would be that as players come off the field, though, somebody would score. So, I'm just saying, I think that's a suggestion. I mean, I could get into it another day with somebody else, but I think that would be a pretty cool suggestion, so we could play and actually pick out who the best team is, as opposed to just kind of playing a game of chance on penalties. But it is what it is, and it does create a lot of drama. It is exciting nonetheless. So, if they're going to keep it, they keep it. Hey, it is what it is. So, yeah, the World Cup is coming to an end. Also, with the World Cup coming to an end, like I said, we go back to club soccer, league soccer in a little bit. And Cristiano Ronaldo has made a move to Juventus. That's a pretty big move for Juventus, for Ronaldo as well. I mean, Ronaldo is 33 years old. For a lot of players, they tend to say that 33 is the back end of their career. Ronaldo looks in pretty good form. He was scoring goals at the World Cup. He's scored goals, in La Liga and the Champions League. So to me, he should have a couple good years left in him at that level. And then who knows, maybe when he's, 36, 37, he comes over to MLS for a year or two. But that's a pretty big move. The other thing that sucks is that Buffon is leaving Juventus to go to PSG. And that kind of sucks, because now that Ronaldo is there, that might have been Buffon's best opportunity to win a Champions League crown. But it doesn't look like he will. Doesn't look like he'll win it with Juventus. If he wins it with anybody, it would be with PSG. So that's a little side story. Be good to see him. I mean, I've grown to really like Buffon, and it'd be nice to see him win a Champions League. It's the only trophy that he really hasn't won. So there's that. I watched the UFC the other night, transitioning. I watched the UFC the other night. Daniel Cormier beat Stipe Miocic. I always say Miocic, but I think it's Miocic, whatever it is, Miocic, however you say it. But I watched that fight the other night. Crazy. I did not think that Cormier would beat Miocic in the first round. I thought that would be a fight that would go at least into the third round. I mean, Cormier has always been great at heavyweight. I think he's an underrated heavyweight. I've always said this. I think that the two best heavyweights on the UFC roster were fighting at light heavyweight. John Jones and Daniel Cormier, I think, were the best heavyweights. They were the best light heavyweights. And Cormier kind of showed that. He went in there. People kind of make fun of his physique. He's short. He's kind of stubby. He's a little thick. But he went into that fight, and he's getting hit a little bit early. Stipe looked good really early in the fight, but then once Cormier got control, he hit him, with a right hand, right in the button, knocked him down, knocked him out. Stipe was upset about the end of the fight, of course. You can understand that. You've been the heavyweight champion. People looked at you and said, "Man, you're one of the greatest of all time, and you lose in the first round. It's tough to swallow." But Cormier. If John Jones was not around, Cormier, I think, might be considered one of the best fighters of all time, if not the best. He definitely has a claim to that, in my opinion, more than a lot of guys currently fighting. I think you had Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre. They were amongst the best of all time. But I think Cormier is right up there with them. And the reason that I say that is that he's pretty much dominated two divisions. If he could beat John Jones one-on-one in a fight, and we know that John Jones has had some substances in his body. How they got there, we don't know. But if he can beat him one-on-one in a fight, I have to say that he might be. I really have to say that I think he might be the greatest of all time. Cause, and the reason that I say that is that when you look at a guy like Anderson Silva, as good as he was when he was in his prime, I don't ever think he had the real all around game because he was never gonna be able to out wrestle you. He really wasn't gonna be able to out wrestle you. Um, and when he fought Chelson, he got taken down and he caught a submission late in the fifth round. But he was never going to be that guy that out wrestled you. Cormier is the type of guy that can out wrestle you. He's shown that he can outstrike you, and it's pretty crazy to think about that. And his career has actually been pretty underrated, I think, by a lot of people. I think that Cormier's career is a lot better than people, I think, say. I think a lot of people give him his credit, but it's almost like, I don't want to say begrudgingly, but I want to say it's almost this feeling where like, it's almost this weird thing where it's like I think because he fought in Strikeforce and he fought a lot of heavyweights. I mean, this guy fought Josh Barnett, Bigfoot Silva, Frank Mir. He fought a lot of guys at heavyweight and dominated them. And then he came down and he was, slamming Dan Henderson, beating Gustafson, Rumble Johnson, all of these guys. He was doing that to all of them. So to dominate two divisions like that is pretty impressive. And it'd be really interesting to see a fight at heavyweight between him and John Jones. Maybe heavyweight will give him a certain feeling, maybe a little added like invincibility factor almost in that. But, John Jones, he might be one of the best of all times too. I mean, you might literally, at the end of the day, when these guys' careers are done, you might almost look at them and say that they are both two of the best guys of all time. Them and maybe GSP top three, in my opinion. Supplements and everything going on with their bodies, I think that those might be the top three guys of all time. But there was that fight, and then there was the stuff afterwards that happened where Brock Lesnar came back. He stepped inside of the octagon after being called out by Daniel Cormier. And when he got into the cage, he proceeded to call Ngannou a piece of shit. He called Stipe Miocic a piece of shit. And then he proceeded to say that he is coming for Daniel Cormier and, dropped an F-bomb right there on live pay-per-view. So Brock is back in the mix. We don't know when he would fight Cormier. But most likely, I think what I was reading was that he wouldn't be eligible to fight until about January. So, excuse that. I always yawn when I'm in here by myself, but he wouldn't be in there to fight Cormier by January, until January. So it would be interesting to see what happens with Cormier before that. There's been talk that Cormier might defend his light heavyweight title one time, then maybe have maybe two more fights, and then retire. We'll see what happens with that. I don't know, but hopefully the fight happens. I want to see it. I got hyped because of what happened afterward, and I want to see it. And to all the people that are calling out BS on the WWE style stuff, one, I don't think it's WWE style stuff because I thought it was better. If anything, it was old school WWE type stuff. More than new school stuff. So I'm excited for the potential of a Daniel Cormier-Brock Lesnar fight. I think Cormier beats him, but hey, you never know what can happen. Maybe Brock lands the right hand. I mean, it would be real. This is one of those fights that would have been really interesting to see these guys in their prime. To see these guys at 28, maybe 30 years old, right at their athletic prime doing this. But hey, it's better late than never in some situations. So that's one part of the heavyweight equation. Another part, unfortunately, that we had to live through was Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou. Sorry, I had to look at my phone for something. That was rough. That was really rough. This fight got moved up to the co-main event once Max Holloway had to be pulled from his featherweight title fight with Brian Ortega. You know, I was really looking forward to that fight. Unfortunately for Max, they said he had some concussion-like symptoms, which was really interesting. I don't think anybody's really sure right now if his symptoms were from his weight cut or maybe from something else. Maybe he had a concussion from training and, they had to stop the fight from happening. Don't know, but the fight didn't go on, which sucked. I was really looking forward to that fight. And after what happened with Ngannou and Lewis, I really think the crowd and everybody watching could have used that. So basically everybody thought that, Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis were going to have this, really tough fight, probably a fight that was only going to last. I'll be honest with you, I only predicted that fight lasting maybe 3-4 minutes max. No way I saw that fight going past the first round. They proceeded to stand and basically circle the cage and throw nothing the whole fight. 3 rounds of pretty much nothing. I was actually surprised that they, I believe, were the second lowest amount of significant strikes landed, or strikes landed, period. I think they were the second lowest of all time in the UFC. I mean, that is pretty crazy coming from two guys who you thought were going to go in there, not knock each other out, and it was going to be a crazy fight. I mean, what makes it even worse is the fact that, these guys are pretty much, a lot of people had paired them up with each other. They had, started calling for the fight, making Instagram posts and things like that. And to go out there and put on that performance was pretty shocking, just pretty shocking to me. So, and it sucks because now you don't have, one of those guys really with an impressive win. They really could have stepped up and put themselves right back into the title hunt. And for that to happen, man, that was a real bummer. But, Ngannou was coming off of a loss. He talked afterwards. I think he made a post talking about how he carried some fear into this fight. Hopefully he gets over that. Hopefully he realizes that those things happen. I mean, some of the best fighters of all time have gotten knocked out. So I don't think Ngannou should fear too much. Hopefully he doesn't, not want to pull the trigger from now on. But, we'll see what happens with Francis Ngannou. Derek Lewis, I don't think he's as much to blame. But still, he could have thrown more. I think he probably could have finished him had he really tried. But, it didn't happen for whatever reason. Now, with that being said, what happens in the heavyweight division? Since apparently Brock and Cormier want to fight, I think that those two guys, I could see one of those two guys, I could see those guys either taking a step back, or maybe you put one of those guys, maybe put Derek Lewis with Stipe, see what happens in that fight. I think that's a fight where Stipe can win, but I think it would be a pretty good scrap, seeing Derek Lewis and Stipe Miocic. And Ngannou, I don't know. He's already fought a guy, Curtis Blades. There's a Brazilian kid. Forgetting his name. I think, is it Albini? I might be. Not Albini. No, not a Brazilian kid. Tuivasa, Tai Tuivasa. I could see maybe Ngannou, having to go that route. I don't know. Blagoy Ivanov is making top heavyweight. He's making his debut against Junior Dos Santos. See what happens with that fight. But the one of the fights that I would make at heavyweight that not a lot of people are talking about, that I think would be a great fight, once these guys are both cleared and ready to come back, John Jones and Cain Velasquez. I would love to see that fight. And I also think that if Cormier were to fight Brock, let's say Cormier fights 3 more times. And let's say Cormier fights 3 more times. Let's say Cormier fights Brock, beats him, or fights light heavyweight, wins that fight. Then he fights Brock, beats him. You could have the winner, if it's John Jones, fight Cormier. But then if let's say Kane beats John Jones, you could also have a situation where maybe you put Stipe in there again with Cormier and see what happens in a rematch. I could also see Stipe eventually fighting Brock because of the comments after that. Maybe give Stipe a win, but we'll see what happens. Intriguing possibilities at heavyweight in the UFC. So let me check my phone here for a second. Let's see what's going on here. Let me respond to that. All right. So let's see what else is going on here. I've been watching some videos on Instagram. I've been making some Instagram posts too, so go check those out. Stories and some Instagram TV posts that hopefully you guys like. But I've been seeing some fun stuff on Instagram. One of them is the What the Fluff Challenge. The What the Fluff Challenge is pretty hilarious. It's basically where owners, or just people in general, I don't even know if they're owners, they take like a sheet or whatever, or a quilt, whatever they got. They hold it in front of their face while their dog is staring at them. And then they throw it up in the air, they take a step away, and then all of a sudden when the dog sees the sheet go down to the ground, their owner or whoever is doing it, it's not there anymore. So I've seen a lot of these videos and they're pretty funny. I've gotten a kick out of them. They're just funny videos because like you get so many different reactions from the dogs. Like the dogs are all over the place. You get some dogs that don't care. You get some dogs that like get into a panic and like start sprinting around the house trying to find their owner. They're pretty funny. You also get the owners that fail miserably and the dogs find them right away. You also get the owners that fail miserably and they end up running into a wall or something like that. I've seen a couple of those. I've seen some fun ones that have like that they did with a horse. I saw one where they kind of faked it, but the dog was doing it to another dog, which is pretty cute. But yeah, I started following hashtags and I saw that, and that was a fun one. That was a fun hashtag to follow, so I followed it, and I've gotten a lot of enjoyment out of it. The other one that I've seen recently is the Shiggy Challenge. Now this one has intrigued me. Okay, this one has really intrigued me, mainly because I have seen this challenge has intrigued me mainly because it's some pretty complicated dancing. I mean, it's everybody's dancing to Drake's new song, and it's pretty complicated to do. So if you're not a dancer, it looks pretty funny. I mean, there's some pretty good dancers out there that are doing this challenge. But I will say one thing, and I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to take a chance here. I am going to post this clip on Instagram of me talking about the Shiggy Challenge. If I got two things, we're going to do a little challenge here, people, okay? Two things. And I'll probably be mad late with this too, doing the Shiggy Challenge. I'm going to be like 3-4 weeks late or whatever because I got to get my choreography down and all that stuff. If this post of me talking about the Shiggy Challenge gets me to 100 followers, which means y'all got to follow me, okay? So if I can get to 100 followers, one, but if I could get 100 likes on it, if I could get 100 likes, I would do the Shiggy Challenge. All right? And it's probably going to be late, but I'm going to do the Shiggy Challenge on the LAWESHOWSM Instagram page. I'll do Instagram TV posts about it, everything. So if I can get to 150 likes on that post and 100 followers, it's got to be both. Got to be both, not just one. It's got to be both. If I could get to both of that, then I will do that. I will do that challenge. So I hope that you guys can follow the page, like that post. I will do the Shiggy Challenge. And if it's not the Shiggy Challenge, let's say that's passé, that's old by the time we get to that point, I will do some other challenge, whatever it is. Ice, water, whatever the challenge is, I will do it if I could get 100 follows for a page. That's setting the bar low. That's setting the bar really low too, because we're at like 91 followers, so that's not that much. That's setting the bar low. So again, 100 followers, 150 likes, and I would do the Shiggy challenge. So let's try and get there. But yeah, basically, so there's that. And then there's a lot of other things. I also saw a hashtag for a National Bikini Day. That was a pretty good one. I like that. Hashtag and that day. We have a national day for everything, but that was a good day. I like that day. That was cool. So yeah. Other than that, let's see what else is going on. A lot of crazy stuff always happening in the world. But yeah, summertime has some nice beach weather. Hopefully everybody is enjoying the weather and going to the beach, enjoying the water, the dirty waters of New York. But there are waters. Hey, there are dirty waters. So, it is what it is. Hopefully everybody had a great 4th of July. That just happened. Hopefully that y'all had a great holiday there. Let's see, just summertime. So we're doing big things, trying to get some guests in. I always say that, and then like we don't have guests in, but don't worry, there will be people who will be right there, And we always have Coach Nicole on. Shout out to Coach Nicole for coming on. Pablo will be on before he heads out to the left coast, so they'll be on. But we'll also have some other people. Don't worry, I promise there will be people on this side of the set. I promise that. Okay, so they'll be here eventually. But yeah, in the meantime, just help us get some followers, get some likes, get people to watch the show, everything like that. Everybody who's been liking my posts and everything on social media, posting for the show and whatnot, I appreciate your support. Anybody who's been over here as a co-host, a guest, whatever, they appreciate it, seeing what they're, talking about, everything like that. So it's much appreciated. I will continue to work hard. Co-hosts will come in and continue to entertain. And yeah, that'll be that. So let me leave you on that. Guys, also, before we get out of here, actually, reminder, like I always say, we have a Facebook, we have a Twitter, we have a Tumblr page. Those haven't really been updated that much. Instagram is pretty much where we're at right now. So go check out the Instagram, LAWESHOWSM. You can also find the other pages at that. You can find the Facebook, the Tumblr, the Twitter at LAWESHOWSM. There's also an email account, lifeandwhateverelse@gmail.com. So you can email us there. Let us know what you think of the show. Also, lifeandwhateverelse.com. I don't think there's much on there, but hey, you can go there and check it out and do that. So that's that. Also, this is the 51st episode. I want to say the last episode was the 50th one. It was historic. I totally forgot it was the 50th one when I was doing it, so maybe it wasn't that historic. But hey, it was the 50th episode, and more to come, and they'll get bigger and better. So, guys, thank you for your support. Thank you for listening, watching, whatever you guys do. Appreciate it. I'm out. Peace.